The turning point. Mark nodded, his gaze drifting to the kitchen. The linoleum floor was cracked and peeling, but Rachel saw beyond the wear. She envisioned a cozy place to share meals and laughter, a sanctuary amidst the world's chaos. As they explored, the house groaned and creaked beneath their feet. It was an ancient place harboring secrets, one they hadn't quite uncovered yet. Despite their neighbors' ominous warnings of its quirks, Rachel was determined to make it their own. Afternoon lights slanted through dusty windows as they unpacked boxes. Their banter filled the air, sparking life within the old walls. Rachel paused to wipe a bead of sweat from her forehead, eyes dwelling on a box labeled winter clothes. "Can you believe we're actually going to need these again?" she mused, dreaming of cozy fireside nights, oblivious to the encroaching shadow. The news played in the background, a monotone hum of reports about a strange illness spreading through the city. The reporters' hushed tones suggested the gravity of the situation. Yet, engrossed in their world, Rachel and Mark paid little attention. They were here to transform this house into their haven. Then came a knock, sharp and unsettling, splintering their reverie. Mark set down his box, his approach to the door cautious. He peered through the peephole, seeing a wild-eyed man, hair disheveled, desperation in his gaze. Curious, Rachel joined Mark. They exchanged a look, an unspoken agreement. Mark unlocked the door. The man practically fell into their home, panting heavily. "They're everywhere," he gasped. Rachel's eyes widened in horror, spotting a bite wound on his arm. His words tumbled out, frenzied and chaotic. Mark felt his heart race, but forced himself calm. "You need to get to a hospital," he insisted, guiding the man to the couch. The TV crackled to life, cutting to live footage of the city in chaos. On the screen, people screamed, pursued by grotesque figures moving with an unnatural gait. The news anchor fell silent, the camera jerking wildly as mayhem unfolded. Rachel's hands shook as she bandaged the stranger's arm, knowing in her gut it was too late. The bite had sealed his fate. His eyes rolled back with a wrenching groan, and he transformed before them. Rachel screamed, the creature lunging. Mark was faster. He thrust a chair between them, buying Rachel precious moments to retreat. The infected man, snarling, stumbled towards Mark. Grabbing a baseball bat from a box labeled sports equipment, Mark swung it with all his might. The sickening crunch echoed through the room, the man collapsing, still, unmoving. Rachel, pale and shocked, knew they had to act fast. They dragged the body into the backyard, burying it clumsily with shaking hands. The setting sun cast eerie shadows upon their newly claimed home. Dread gnawed at them as they locked every door and window, sealing themselves within what was meant to be a sanctuary. On television, grim updates of a zombie outbreak unfolded relentlessly. Rachel clung to Mark, her voice trembling. "What do we do now?" she whispered. Mark's arms tightened around her. No words of comfort came. Night deepened, the sounds outside intensifying. Disturbing wails and sporadic gunshots punctuated the night, but closer still came the groans, the unsettling sound of the undead. Huddled in the flickering candlelight of their living room, Mark and Rachel armed themselves with makeshift weapons, ready to defend what was theirs. Rachel's thoughts zigzagged, reflections of family and friends glimmering and fading against the grim backdrop. Mark whispered words of reassurance, yet the air throbbed with palpable fear. Footsteps crunched gravel in the garden. Rachel's grip on Mark's hand tightened, terror sparking in her wide eyes. A thud against the back door sent chills through them both. The groans grew louder, the door quivering under the pressure of zombies clamoring outside. Mark sprung into action, dragging a heavy dresser to reinforce the door. Rachel added chairs and a table, her breaths quick and shallow. Insistent pounding followed, the door beginning to splinter. Rachel's panicked gaze flitted around the room, seeking escape. Windows too small to crawl through. The front door guarded by undead. They were trapped. Mark noticed her mounting terror, exhaling slowly to calm his own racing heart. "We'll make it through this," he murmured, his eyes meeting hers with fierce resolve. Rachel nodded, her grip on her knife steadfast. The door gave way. A singular figure stumbled into the room, not the horde they expected. It was their neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, her eyes vacant, movements erratic. Mark, gripping his bat, and Rachel, wielding her knife, prepared to fight for their survival. A fierce, desperate battle ensued. Swings and stabs meant to keep the zombies at bay. Each gruesome impact was a reminder of the world they had lost, the lives extinguished in a heartbeat. Yet the thought of isolation was unbearable. Cautiously, they approached, weapons ready. Rachel's heart leapt, recognizing their friend, Steve, among them. "You're the only house left standing," he said, voice heavy with fatigue. The group quickly strategized, fortifying the house with anything they could find. Furniture, boards, anything to barricade doors and windows against further incursions. They gathered in the basement, hoping it would shield them from the zombies' relentless pursuit. The air was thick with fear and determination, eyes scanning warily. Rachel and Mark, working tirelessly beside Steve and the others, shared their horror stories in hushed tones. These moments of camaraderie provided slivers of comfort amid the chaos. As dawn crept over the horizon, they inventoried their supplies, enough food and water for a week, maybe two, if rationed carefully. Rachel proposed transforming an upstairs bedroom into a lookout, a vantage point to monitor for danger or rescue. The group agreed, hauling a mattress and chairs to the spot and peering through a crack in the boarded-up window. Morning light bathed the deserted street in an unnerving glow, silence interrupted only by an occasional distant moan. They had conquered the night, but the days ahead hummed with uncertainty. Rachel and Mark leaned against a bedroom wall, wrapped in each other's arms. "We can't let this be our new reality," Rachel whispered, voice quaking. Mark kissed her forehead, heart sure. "We'll find a way out," he promised. "We'll survive this together." In that poignant moment, their bond felt unbreakable. Though the undead threat loomed large, their future uncertain, but side by side, come what may. Routines seeped into their days, marked by vigilant watchers, hoping to catch sight of rescue or fellow survivors. Each strange noise against barricades sent pulses racing. Yet Rachel and Mark's connection deepened, their whispered dreams of life beyond the apocalypse bolstering them against the creeping despair. A life together free of shadow's grip. This newfound routine shattered one evening, breaking glass echoing sharply within the house. Instincts alive, they sprang from their places, weapons primed. Heart pounding, Rachel raced downstairs. There, beneath moonlight's cruel gleam, two zombies stumbled through a broken window. The group mobilized, entrenched in fear yet guided by survival instinct, dispatching the undead swiftly, precisely. Candlelight flickered over their concerned faces, gathered in the kitchen's dim safety. "We can't stay here much longer," Steve reasoned, voice weighted with urgency. Mark agreed, potential escape routes and supply strategies unraveling before them, heavy with consequence. The following day, they ventured cautiously into the neighborhood, eyes wide for supplies and information. Rachel clung to Mark's hand, ears attuned to silence shattered by undead wails. Their footsteps were whispers on desolate streets. An abandoned supermarket yielded sparse rations, canned goods, scattered bottles. Silence pressed against them, zombified specters echoing in the distance. Triumph in hand, The house came into view, a new figure lingering in the garden, watching intent. The silhouette didn't lurch with the zombie's hunger. It was human, alive. Hope flared, heart leaping, but as they neared, Rachel read desperation deep in the stranger's eyes. No longer isolated, she pondered if this was fortune or folly. Stranger's gaze echoed relief yet suspicion, their story cloaked. Rachel and Mark exchanged a knowing glance, a silent accord. Within their sanctuary lay risk, yet their barricade's strength offered a glimmer of collective survival, a flickering beacon of possible salvage in a world overrun.